Good day, everybody. இன்னைக்கு நாம டிஎன்பிஎஸ்சி சாப்டர்ல இருந்து ஒரு இம்பார்ட்டண்டான ஒரு லெசன் பார்க்க போறோம். It's called cell structure in biology. It comes in the ninth standard syllabus usually. When we take cell structure, the most important thing that we need to learn in it is all the components of the cell structure within the cell membrane and the function of its outer membrane as well. இது நீங்க பேசிக்கா படிச்சாலே போதும் that you can be able to figure out your own answers in the exam itself. When you take a cell, it is the most basic unit of the human body. ஸோ அதுக்கும் கீழே நீங்கள் போனீங்கன்னா it is made out of phosphates and nitrogen and oxygen, all the linkages together that will be known into biochemistry. ஆனால் இதில் வந்து நீங்கள் இது படித்தா போதும் வேர் நீங்கள் phosphobiolipid லேயர் இருக்குன்னு மட்டும் தெரிஞ்சால் போதும். அந்த phosphobiolipid லேயர் என்னன்னா is the cell membrane that covers the cell. ஸோ தட் phosphobiolipid layer அது வந்து ஒரு பலூன் கட்டின மாதிரி இருக்கும். It will look like this with one top with a positive and one bottom with a negative. These will link together to form a cell membrane, and that cell membrane has a small fatty layer right beneath it called the ectoplasm, and a bigger fatty layer inside it called the endoplasm. Both together is known as the cytoplasm. So this outside is the cell membrane, and the cell membrane is made out of the phosphobiolipid layer, and the outside, as you can see, is the ecto. Velilana ecto na velila. Ecto and endo. Endo means inside. Ecto means outside, and endo means inside. So that is ectoplasm and endoplasm, and both together is known as cytoplasm, where you have endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies, and mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell. So endoplasmic reticulum has two types, which is soft and rough, as we know. So rough, why is it rough? It's because of the ribosomes that they produce for them to go to the Golgi bodies, for them to start creating an information barrier. அப்போ வந்து அந்த ரைபோசோம்ஸ் அந்த எண்டோபிளாஸ்மிக் ரெட்டிகுலம்லேருந்து அவங்க அனுப்புவாங்க பேக்கேஜாக அனுப்புவாங்க கால்கை பாடிஸ்க்கு, அண்ட் தே வில் ஸ்டார்ட் கிரியேட்டிங் லைசோசோம்ஸ் அண்ட் அந்த ஒரு ஸ்ட்ரக்சர் போயிட்டுருக்கும். So that is information that is being passed between the endoplasmic reticulum and the Golgi bodies. And within this, as you can see, this is the nucleus. Within it is the information genetic material, which is the DNA. It won't be like it. So DNA is the double helix structure that we know of, that will comprise into smaller threads, and those threads will bind around histones, which are negative, and the DNA is positive, so they have to create, and the histone வந்து ball and chain structure மாதிரி இருக்கும். ஸோ அந்த ஹிஸ்டோன் இன்னும் கிட்டக்க பார்க்கும்போது இவ்வளோ தூரமாக இருக்கும், ஆனால் தூரத்துலேருந்து பார்க்கும்போது you see that they're together, and that will form into a chromosome, and then the chromosome is what is known as the genetic material. We have around 23 pairs of chromosomes, and all those 23 pairs are within this cell and the nucleus. So this is a very interesting thing, the cell structure, because it contains all your information, all your genetic material is everything that codes, all the proteins are all coming from this. And this is an animal cell. So plant cell ko animal cell ko ana vyathyasam na, plant cell will have a more rigid structure. The one main difference between both of them is that the plant cell will have a cell wall, but the animal cell does not have a cell wall. It has a cell membrane, which is more it's called selectively permeable. Cell wall is not selectively permeable. It either permits or it does not permit. அது வந்து உள்ள அது ஒரு லாக்கிங் கீ மாதிரி தான். அந்த லாக்கிங் கீ இஸ் method is outdated. It is now infused, but we'll come to that later. ஆனால் இங்கே வந்து it's like a door with a lock. So if you have the key, you can enter. If not, you don't. So that is in a cell wall. But in a cell membrane, you can or cannot. It depends on your structure. So that is how the cell membrane works with the animal cell. Within the animal cell and the plant cell, you have two different variations, which are the prokaryotes and the eukaryotes. Prokaryote means smaller cells which don't have a nucleus. ஸோ நியூக்ளியோலஸ் இல்லைன்னா if they don't have major genetic information அந்த மாதிரி அது ப்ரோகேரியாட்ஸ். ப்ரோனா பிஃபோர். ஸோ அதை வச்சு நீங்கள் கண்டுபிடிச்சிக்கலாம். ப்ரோகேரியாட்ஸ் அண்ட் யூகேரியாட்ஸ் ஆர் மல்டி செல்லுலர் ஆர்கானிசம்ஸ் ஆர் single cellular eukaryotes are also there, and they called unicellular and multicellular, and they are then separated into classification: Monera, Protista, Animalia, Plantae, and all that. So that is another chapter that we'll see later. The main difference is that prokaryotes are usually smaller and eukaryotes are bigger. So 1 to 10 microns இருக்கும் prokaryotes, even 20-30 இருக்கலாம். In eukaryotes, they are 1 to 500 as unicellular, but when you go multicellular, you have 6 feet, you have 10 feet, you have the blue whale. All of these are eukaryotic cells. When they form together as a whole, uh, whole being, from a cell to a tissue to an organ to a whole being, you are one living cell. So the biggest cell is today the blue whale, so that you can even have that. But adavanta, that's only a small fact. 5 to 100 mucrons is for eukaryote, microns is for eukaryotic, and for prokaryotic it is 1 to 10 microns. Prokaryotic lacks organization, and eukaryotic is more organized. And the main difference here is there is no nucleolus in prokaryotes, but there is a nucleus in a eukaryote. So that is one main difference. So this is the basic structure of an animal cell, and maybe a plant cell. A plant cell has more detail to it, where you have to understand the structure of the chloroplast and how they are stacked and why they are stacked, and the information that travels in between. So that we'll see later. But this is a general introduction to cell structure in TNPSC and how the questions might come. ஸோ இதெல்லாம் வந்து ஒரு பேசிக் ஸ்ட்ரக்சர். நீங்கள் அந்த டயக்ராம் நீங்கள் படித்தாலே போதும், அதுலேருந்து நீங்கள் மீண்டும் வந்துக்கலாம். ஸோ ஐ ஹோப் திஸ் இஸ் ஹெல்ப்ஃபுல். தேங்க்யூ.